Memphis is roaring into 2024. The Tigers are fresh off a 10-win season in 2023 and now arguably have the best roster in the American Conference. But they also face the most difficult schedule in the conference. So does Memphis have what it takes to make a run to the 12-team college football playoff? That's the question we're going to answer today. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. We're so glad you could join us today. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home of those expert picks. You've heard us preach it all season long. We're going to continue to preach it all season long. These are some of the best picks in the entire country for one of the lowest prices in the entire country. We're beating out over 80% of the national handicappers. We've done so each of the last 6 years. We're going to make it 7 straight years by the end of this season, and we want you to take advantage of that with us. Take advantage of it and become a member of our GE Nation. So go sign up for those expert picks before the season starts over on thegridironexpert.com. It's going to be the best decision you make all season. So Memphis, man, I really, really like this team. Love the roster, love what they're doing, love what they did last year. But last year was weird for Memphis. Yes, they went 10-3, and their only losses were very respectable ones against Missouri by 7, Tulane, where they were up by double digits at one point, and then SMU losing by 4. So 10-3, beat Iowa State in their bowl game. Very solid year. But some of their wins were very, very ugly. And look, a win's a win's a win, but the Tigers were wildly inconsistent. 4 one-possession wins against Navy, Boise State, North Texas, and Charlotte. With the exception of Boise State, those other 3 teams really weren't world beaters in the American Conference last year, and Memphis struggled mightily against them. So this is a team that has all the talent in the world, but can they start taking care of business against the teams they need to, and can they find a way to take down the top dogs? Memphis has what it takes. They have the talent to make a run to the playoff to win this conference, but can they navigate the schedule? Before we get to that, take a look at the roster. They've got the program's all-time leading passer returning this year. Seth Hennigan has already eclipsed 10,000 yards passing in his career. He has already clinched the number 1 passing spot in Memphis program history, and he's got a full season left ahead of him. What he does this year might be insurmountable for any future Memphis quarterback. That's truly unbelievable. Threw for over 3,800 yards last year, 32 touchdowns, averaged over 300 passing yards per game. He is the best quarterback in this conference, leading the best offense in this conference. Mario Anderson transfers in at running back from South Carolina, rushed for over 700 yards last year, and their wide receiver core is phenomenal. Rock Taylor is their leader, returning after posting nearly 1,100 reception yards last year. Demir Blankumsey had over 900 yards and 7 touchdowns last year, and they also returned Kobe Drake. So 3 of their top 5 pass catchers from last season return now for Seth Hennigan, and the offensive line has over 124 starts combined. This is a great Memphis offense, one that averaged over 39 points per game, has an opportunity to eclipse that this year. Defensively, that's an area that still needs work for the Tigers. They allowed over 30 points. They allowed their opponents to score at least 30 points 7 times last year. They gave up over 28 points per game, over 400 yards per game, over 265 passing yards per game. But they've got some talent coming back. Their leading tackler, Chandler Martin, returns at linebacker, where he had 3 sacks last year, led the team. That's massive, the anchor of this defense. The defensive line only had 23 sacks and allowed 155 rushing yards per game, but should improve drastically. They've got Cremonte Hamilton. You got Patrick Lucas transferring in from Indiana. Much better defensive line than what we saw last year from Memphis. And the secondary should be a lot more experienced, a lot better after that horrendous stat line, 268 passing yards per game. Greg Rubin is back. Julian Barnett is back. Jaden Dennis is back after being a first-team Colonial Athletic Association selection last year at Elon. So this is a very, very good, well, I guess improved, I should say. Much improved Memphis secondary. All in all, a very, very good team that could make a good run. But you take a look at the schedule. I mean, my goodness, look how tough it is. Troy in the non-conference. Florida State in the non-conference. Have to go to USF, to UTSA, to Tulane. 3 of the best teams in this conference. Memphis has to go to every single one of them. So it is not favorable at all. I'll tell you right now, they'll start 2-0. They'll beat North Alabama. They'll beat Troy. John Sumrall left Troy to become the head coach at Tulane. So an interesting move there. One that could make play a pretty big role by season's end. Troy is not going to be a bad team. They're not going to fall off the face of the earth, but Memphis is still the significantly better team in every aspect here, plus home field advantage. They will beat Troy. Then they go to Florida State for the Mike Norvell Bowl. Norvell Reunion Bowl. Remember, Mike Norvell is kind of what helped put Memphis back on the map. Went 38-15 in 4 years with the Tigers. Led them to that 12-1 season back in 2019 where they made the Cotton Bowl but ultimately fell to Penn State. But he did a phenomenal job with Memphis. Goes to Florida State, goes through a couple of rough years, and then last season had them undefeated as ACC champions and got left out of the college football playoff. But regardless, he's got Florida State rolling now. And while Memphis arguably owns the offensive advantage in this game, the Seminoles definitely own the defensive advantage. They own the size advantage. They own the home field advantage. The Tigers won't go away quietly. I think they'll put up a better fight than people think. But Florida State going to get the win. Memphis is 2-1 beginning conference play on the road at Navy. I'll tell you right now, before their bye week, Navy and Middle Tennessee, they win both. I think they will cruise past the midshipmen. They barely won last year, 28-24. I don't know what the heck that was about. Navy went through some major growing pains in year one under a brand new head coach. The offense wasn't all that great. If you play Army, if you play Navy, if you play Air Force, the key is stopping the run. Memphis didn't do that last year. They allowed the midshipmen to post 299 rushing yards. They're going to be better up front on the defensive line, so they're going to be better up front against the run. They've won 5 straight against the midshipmen. They'll make it 6 on the road in Annapolis, and they will beat Middle Tennessee. Year one under Derek Mason, going to be some growing pains for the Blue Raiders. All in all, Memphis is 4-1, heading into their bye week and heading into the bulk of conference play. This is where things get tough. That really, really tough road game in conference play to start, USF. If you're basing this off of recency bias, you're going to go, USF? Really? They're terrible. Well, no, they're not. If you watched college football last year, you realize the Bulls took major steps forward. Major steps forward. Year one under Alex Galesh, and they made a bowl game, destroyed Syracuse, and now returned tons of talent. 18 starters in this game, with 10 of them coming back on offense. Last year, Memphis was a 13.5-point favorite against the Bulls. They only won 59-50. They got torched by that USF offense. Now, granted, the Bulls could say the same. Their defense got torched by this Memphis offense. I expect another high-scoring game here, but give me the Bulls to get the win. A Friday night with a team that has loads of momentum, loads of talent, a dangerous dual-threat quarterback in Byron Brown. I don't think this Memphis defense can contain him. They couldn't do it last year, but USF was still going through some growing pains, still figuring things out. This year, not going to be the case. They get the job done, and Memphis takes their first conference loss of the year, one that could be detrimental to not just their championship hopes, but their playoff hopes as well. After USF, though, I think they beat North Texas and Charlotte. They barely beat North Texas and Charlotte last year. Barely. They scored a game-winning touchdown against the Mean Green with 12 seconds left. They led 31-10 at halftime, allowed North Texas to come all the way back, take the lead. Memphis survived 45-42. But I do think they get the job done now at home, bouncing back after that heartbreaking loss to the Bulls. And then Charlotte. They survived Charlotte in overtime last year. It was embarrassing. It was way, way, way too close. That will not happen again. They will beat the 49ers. They will beat them with ease. Memphis is a significantly better team with home field advantage. Now they're looking good. Big-time road game number 2 at UTSA. Can they beat the Roadrunners, who many believe is still the overall favorite in the American Conference? And look, they're good. They've got a lot of talent. Their skill positions are good. They arguably have the best defense in the American. And we know that this is a very difficult team to play, especially at their house. But I like Memphis in this game. Give me Memphis to pull off the mini upset over the Roadrunners. And a game that is arguably the best offense in the conference in Memphis against the best defense in the conference in UTSA. I like Memphis to get the job done. Ryan Silverfield and this Memphis team is creative enough to find a way to get enough points on the board to steal a win. I truly believe that. And I still have concerns for the Roadrunners after losing Frank Harris. Is Owen McCown really the guy? Is he going to come in and continue to deliver the success that UTSA has grown accustomed to over these last few years? He's not a bad quarterback, but he's not a great quarterback. He's no Frank Harris. I don't think he's going to get the job done. Memphis steals a massive win down in San Antonio and then beats Rice and UAB in back-to-back weeks for 5 consecutive victories, setting up a massive game on the road against Tulane. This is a game that could have playoff implications. This is a game that certainly will have implication on who maybe could go to the American Championship game, which could ultimately lead to a playoff berth. So much on the line in the final week of the season. down in New Orleans. Take a look at this game a little bit closer. Both teams are coming off a bye entering this game. Last year, Memphis looked like they were going to pull off the win against the Green Wave. They were up 21-10 and blew it. Did not score again after that. We're up 21-10, ultimately lost at home 31-21. Yes, Willie Fritz is now gone from Tulane. We understand that, but they hired a great coach in John Sumrall. We mentioned that Sumrall left Troy, who Memphis plays in week 2, and is now the head coach at Tulane. Yes, they do lose tons, like Michael Pratt, their all-time leading passer. But they've got Ty Thompson transferring in from Oregon. They've got Mekhi Hughes, who rushed over 1,300 yards last year. They've got a pretty strong back seven. And Sumrall, man, he's a heck of a coach. Went 13-1 in 2 years, 13-1 at home in 2 years with Troy. I think lost 4 times overall. Tulane is 12-4 over the last 2 years at home. Tulane has won 3 of the last 4 games against Memphis, with all 3 of those coming by at least 10 points. With everything riding on the line, this is where Memphis' inconsistency comes in. I don't believe they have enough to come on the road and take down this Tulane team. One whose back seven, I think, gets the job done against this elite passing attack. Home field advantage plays a major role in this game. I think the Green Wave, get the job done. Memphis drops the season finale against Tulane to finish 9-3, the exact same record they had last year. For most teams and for many teams, this is a pretty good year. For Memphis, this feels like a disappointment. For me, it feels like a disappointment. 9-3, and I hated picking them this way. Maybe you think they beat Tulane. Maybe you think they beat USF. I think at the best, the Tigers can get to 10-2, which might be good enough to get them into the playoff if they can win the American Conference. It wouldn't rule that out entirely. But I think they're bound to slip up. The inconsistency is going to bite them in the butt somewhere. I think it's against USF and Tulane. 2 conference losses. Maybe you can still make the championship game, maybe not. But regardless, 9-3 will not be good enough to make the college football playoff. It will be good enough for another solid season, another solid bowl berth, but maybe for many, a disappointing year for the Tigers. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home of our exclusive expert picks. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country. So go sign up for those today. Do not miss out on a chance to become a member of our GE Nation. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.